Alright, welcome to the second game between Camputer and Ikuna. This game, Ikuna is playing Jinteki Personal Evolution, and Camputer is playing Gabe. Gabriel Santiago, with a very spicy opener hand. Sneak Door Beta is what I always want to see in my hand as Gabriel. Ikuna has a also very good hand with 3 ice and a beanstalk royalties. No agendas. You can't really ask for more than that. Camputer, I would generally keep this hand. Sneak Door Beta is just so good in Gabe. This card wins games by itself. You can just play it, run three times, and score 3 agendas, and then you just won the game. That hardly ever happens, but you might run a couple times and score an agenda and win the game. And be very far ahead, especially since you gain 2 credits every time you sneak door into their hand with the Gabriel. It just gives them so much. Yes. Yep. I'm good to go. So yeah. Unfortunately for Camputer, Ikuna doesn't have any agendas in hand. If Ikuna had agendas in hand, then Sneak Door Beta would be just absurdly powerful. Right now, it's just merely good. Also, Bank Job is kind of a cute card against Jinteki, because they often have unprotected servers, and Bank Job can really punish them for that. I would go Sneak Door Beta and just run his archives once or twice, or maybe even 3 times. I'm not sure why he drew. I would play Sneak Door Beta and I would still play Sneak Door Beta and just get in there. I wouldn't play Desperado here. He's far from guaranteed to get in anywhere. The Sneak Door Beta earns him back 2 credits instantly. He can always play Desperado later. He could have played Sneak Door Beta, ran, and then later on play Desperado. Instead, he's not being able to play Sneak Door Beta this turn, and so he doesn't get the 2 credits from his ability because Ikuna will res the Swallow Static. It feels like Camputer could play that a little bit better. I've played a lot of Gabe, so I might be a little extra critical on Camputer. That's not saying that he's any worse than any of the other players in this tournament necessarily. It's just that I have much more experience playing with Gabe than with Wizards, so I know a little bit more about how his play style. And there goes the Chum on HQ. That's also a good play. And now Camputer's going to play Sneak Door Beta. I'm going to be very surprised if he doesn't play Sneak Door Beta. Really, he's drawing into a Stimhack. Stimhack is very bad against Jinteki. If you're expecting to see a lot of Jinteki, you might want to take out Stimhacks from your deck because it just doesn't do anything. Or it does give you 9 credits, but they generally have very large servers. I don't know why you would play Bank Job here. Does Camputer just not want to run Ikuna's hand ever? This seems very strange to me that he's not playing Sneak Door Beta. He could have gotten 3 accesses or 3 turns of accesses already into HQ. Instead, he's just drawing cards and playing cards that do nothing like Bank Job. Bank Job is not a card you want to play and leave sit out there. You want to play it you only want to play it when they have a remote server that you want to play Bank Job, that you want Bank Job into. You want to play it and use it in the same turn, similar to Sneak Door Beta. Now you should definitely run archives. The problem with this Bank Job thing out here is that now Ikuna knows about it, and he can play around it. He may not play his Ronin's getting trashed probably, but he may not have played. He may have played his Ronin out if there was no Bank Job there. and advanced it, and then he could have bank jobbed it. But once bank job is out there, he doesn't have to do that. And why I don't know, I don't understand why he took a credit instead of making a run. Because with Desperado, you can just run and gain credits by running. That's one of the very strong things about Criminal is that Criminal or Desperado especially is that you can make money through runs instead of making money by clicking for credits. As long as you can access whatever you're accessing, it's very, very strong. And you just never have to stop running. Ikuna made a very good play, I think. He installed a field AI and advanced it once. This makes Camputer very, very cautious of this. This could very easily be any number of things. It could be an aggressive secretary. It could be a bank job, or it could be a Junebug. It could be a Ronin. These plays, I don't really understand these plays. Forge activation orders. That's a pretty bad use of forge activation orders right there. To just throw that down on an ice that Ikuna could easily res. And he's not running the hand. The first thing I do on my turn when I'm Sneak Door Beta is run the hand. You can get so many credits if you Sneak Door Beta and Gabe and Desperado going. They all synergize very, very well. I'm not really sure what Camputer's plan is. He's got some money now. He doesn't really have any breakers, and he's not really putting any pressure on Ikuna. Ikuna can just sit back and do his thing. This is terrible. You should never, never, never run on your last click against Jinteki. Jinteki especially. Jinteki and Wayland especially, you should never run on your last click. I mean, I never say never, but really, really, really try to avoid it. Because if Camputer hit the snare there, he would have taken 3 net damage and a tag, and then Ikuna could have just played Scorched Earth on his turn and killed him. If he had ran on his first click, he would have hit the snare, taken the net damage, but then he could have drawn up or removed the tag, and then the Scorched Earth couldn't have killed him. He played a chum on HQ on R&D. Ikuna is really exposed right now, but Camputer is not taking advantage of that. He's not really running aggressively. He's always drawing. It's good that he's drawing first before he's doing stuff, so he can change his mind depending on what he draws. But I think he should be not drawing at all and just running until Ikuna locks him out. As Gabe, what you want to do is just keep on running as long as you can, playing as few cards as possible until the corporation locks you out of at least HQ, and if you have Sneak Door Betas and Archives, you want them to be forced to lock you out, hard lock you out of those servers before you draw cards. So I've won games as Gabe where I play like one card the entire game. You can put a lot of pressure on them without actually playing any cards. And he clicked for credits instead of accessing HQ. He could have easily sneaked or baited into HQ and gotten 3 credits instead he got 1 credit. This is a thing that I don't really understand why he's just afraid of running Ikuna's hand apparently. He might just be terrified of snares. I'm not sure why. He really needs to be accessing Ikuna's hand whenever he can. Right now, Ikuna and this Forge activation orders doesn't make any sense either. And okay, that resing that was a terrible play. because this chum does nothing because this Enigma's gonna go away. But right now, Ikuna does not have a remote server, so if he draws agendas, he cannot play them safely. Which means that to counter that, so he has to keep agendas in his hand, because he cannot play them safely and score them safely, which means that Camputer can just run his hand over and over and over and over and over again, to try to find those agendas that are stacking up in his hand. Like this Nsai has been in Ikuna's hand for 3 or 4 turns now, but Camputer is not running the hand to try to find it. There's also a snare in his hand, but as long as you don't run on your last click, the snare doesn't really do all that much. Yeah. Basically. Yeah, that chum isn't really doing anything right now. It would take a tricky card for this chum to actually do something. So, yeah, as I was saying earlier, Camputer should just be running the hand to try to force Ikuna to play agendas. He has a lot of credits, but these credits aren't doing you any good if you're not running. He's drawing an account siphon, but he really can't use it right now. He could play the corroder and use it, but he doesn't know that. I mean, this is another flaw with the not running aggressively plan. If he knew that there was a wall of static here, he could use the count siphon. But he doesn't know there's a wall of static there, so he can't use the count siphon. And this is the wrong ice to target with forged activation orders. This is another thing. You don't want to target the outermost ice with forged activation orders because you can check what they are by running them. You want to target the innermost ice because if the outermost ice stops you, then you don't know what this innermost ice is. Right now, he can't go through the chum because he doesn't know if this is a code gate or a sentry. But it's a barrier, but he doesn't know that. Okay, and then this is kind of a funny play. Ikuna just decided to just install the Nsai. He doesn't really seem to care. He figures that Camputer is way too scared to run, so Camputer is not going to run anything. Ikuna throughout this tournament has been seeming to be taking advantage of his opponent's fears. He's been playing Jinteki and he's been playing very bluff heavy, where he just lays down agendas down there and just says, you know, this is an agenda, and just says this has got to be a trap. There's no way I would be doing it if this wasn't a trap. Or he plays on just 2 very weak ice and says these ice will keep you out and they'll kill you if you run. But they really wouldn't. This is all just bluffs. This is all just air. But it's working because the runners are way too scared to run. Against Jinteki, all you have to do is draw cards and then run. Or run and then draw cards. If you have 6 cards in your hand, Jinteki is not going to be able to kill you. There's nothing they could do to kill you when you have 6 cards in hand and you're running a 1 advanced card. And if you don't die, it's pretty good anyway. And what are we doing? He's going to femme fatale that. This is also a very terrible play. You never want to femme fatale unres dice because you don't know whether you can break them or not. Femme fatale is best on very expensive to break ice. This is an unres dice, and so also the corporation doesn't have to res them if they don't want to. Besides that, chum, femme fatale and ice behind a chum is much worse because even if you bypass this ice, then the chum will still go off and do 3 net damage to you. So you either have to break the chum in addition to bypassing this ice, or you can't bypass the ice. And yeah, Then his size very very bad for Camputer. But what's he going to discard? This is a hard choice. He kind of likes all the cards in his hand. That's sort of the problem. His corpse was discard cards. All the cards in his hand are very very good right now. He kind of wants the neural katanas to kill him, and also the snare could end up killing. He actually discarded an agenda. He discarded a fetal AI, which I'm not sure was the right play, but it was certainly an interesting play. Also, Camputer is just terrified right now of Ikuna. I'm not. Yeah, I really think that Camputer is playing this way too passively. He's not running nearly enough. This is the number one problem I see with new runners is they just do not run pretty much ever. They are very very scared to run. They need all three breakers out before they feel comfortable running a server with one ice. And they're clicking for credits even though they have Gabe and Sneak Door Beta and Desperado out. And they don't run a server, they don't run R&D, which has an upgrade on it, which is a Sakai grid and nothing else. Really, if you're going to play this passively, you need to play Shaper or Noise, really. Gabriel is not meant to be a very passive runner, because he gets much, much weaker as the game goes on. In the first couple turns, he's the strongest runner in the game, I believe. But as the game goes on and goes late, he becomes much, much, much weaker. There's the third field AI, and there's another chum. Really, this chum isn't really going to do very much right now. He trashed the... I don't agree with this move. He trashed his wall stack and installed another chum. It's kind of a tricky move. If he wants to just bluff, then this is a good move, but it doesn't actually do all that much. He needs to either break the chum or break the wall stack anyway. So this is not actually adding more defense to the server. It's just this sort of an awkward neural katana. And I don't know. Camputer is drawing a lot. I'm not sure what he's drawing for. When you're drawing cards as a runner, you always have to have something to draw for. Even if it's something as simple as economy or a breaker. You need to have some reason to draw cards. You can't just draw cards because you're like, I don't know what I need to draw. Yeah. A lot of people will just draw cards for no reason when they already have enough. I mean, if you have three breakers, you really don't need all that much more, especially if you have an account siphon. You have a parasite, you have a Desperado going, you have Gabe going, and you have Sneak Door Beta going. You don't really need a whole lot more. So I don't know why he's drawing. He should just be drawing to replace the damage that he takes. Oh, he discarded the parasite. That was a pretty lucky net damage. My thoughts are that Ikuna is likely going to win just because Camputer is just so scared of him. Yes. It seems to me like Ikuna might have a little bit more experience than than most of the people in this tournament. Because this is actually a very good Jinteki deck that he's running right now. Uh, it's a pretty competitive Jinteki deck. As Jinteki decks go, this one's very good. So, this criminal deck is pretty good. This is actually a pretty good criminal deck. It's fairly close to my build, but there's a few changes between this and my build. But still, it's kind of an interesting thing. And then he installed a Ronin. Oh my goodness. The mind games never stop with this guy. I also think Ikuna really likes the mind games. Ronin is a very tricky card. I think you have to run that. I mean, you already saw a Junebug. He thinks this is a Junebug, but it's not. So what are the chances that he has 3 Junebugs? I think he has to run this card. If I were in his shoes, I would definitely run it. So I think Camputer really needs to run this card. Yes, he figured it out. That was a good play. That was a very good play. I like that play a lot. I think, yeah. I think he also has to start running, HQ. He really needs to start running HQ because he hasn't seen very many agendas. This is the only agenda he knows about, and so he has to look into HQ. He has to figure that Ikuna has drawn more than one agenda. And his ID gives him bonus money for accessing HQ. So he really needs to run HQ at least once a turn. That's the thing with Gabe, is you want to run HQ at least once per turn if you can. Like, if there's any reasonable way to do it, you really want to. And this face on ice, he has all 3 breakers, so he can break any ice except for there are just a couple trap ice that don't really do anything that he can't run. And there's a Neural Katana there. Ikuna installed a Neural Katana. He's probably going to install Fetal AI behind it and just be really annoying. There's an infiltration. This could be huge if he infiltrates, if Camputer infiltrates this face down card. He's probably not going to, but if he does, he sees it's the Fetal AI, and he might go and steal it. Because right now he thinks it's an ambush, because it's just been sitting out there and it hasn't done anything for several turns. I don't know why he's clicking for credits when he could just be running HQ. He really should be running instead of clicking for credits. There's a snare. He's gonna gonna install a snare behind the Neural Katana. So if Camputer runs that, well, first of all he's gonna break the Neural Katana, but then he's gonna hit a snare, and that snare is going to do a lot of damage to him. Yeah, Camputer really needs to run his hand or something. He needs to run something. As a runner, you can't just sit back, especially when there's only 1 or 2 ice on every server. You can't just sit back when you have all 3 breakers. It just doesn't work that way. The game, you're not going to win the game unless you run, and so you have to run aggressively. He's going to infiltrate this. I think this is a waste of infiltration. It's going to save him from a snare, but I might not even run that ever. Like, I against Jinteki, I generally don't run face down cards unless they're 2 points away from winning. Because if they're 2 points away from winning, they can score Brain Trust and win. But if they don't, then I mean it's way too likely to be a snare or something. So I either run it or just don't, and I don't waste infiltration on it. I really don't know why he's attacking R&D so heavily. I mean, it's good that he's attacking R&D. It's better than not doing anything. But he really shouldn't be attacking R&D that heavily, don't believe. I think he should be attacking HQ much easier because he gets 2 credits every time he accesses HQ. And there's got to be an agenda in HQ. He knows there has to be an agenda in there because he's drawn so many cards right already. I mean, they've gone through over half of Ikuna's deck, and he's only seen 1 agenda. There has to be more agendas than that. So he has to be checking out HQ. For all he knows, Ikuna has 5 agendas in HQ. Camputer doesn't know that because he hasn't run in so long. It's not even like HQ is expensive to access. It's not like R&D is any more expensive than HQ. HQ and R&D have essentially the same defense right now because they with the pop-up windows. If he's willing to repeatedly dive a pop-up window to hit R&D, he should be willing to run a face-down ice to possibly get into HQ. I'm not sure what his game plan is. It seems to me like he just forgot about his ID ability. I mean, I know he didn't, but that's what it seems like to me. And this ice is also going to stop him from accessing R&D, just because he's been playing so scared. I hate to say that, but it just seems like he's been playing so scared the entire game. Also, he advanced the shadow. Ikuna just doesn't care at this point. He's just going to advance shadows all day, and it's like Ikuna has such a big psychological advantage right now. In the actual game state, he's in a very weak position, but his psychological advantage is just so huge right now. Just because Camputer is just so scared of everything he does. He's just so scared to run. We haven't seen that many agendas. We've seen, I believe, just enough agendas for 1 player to win. So this has been sort of slow on the agenda front, and so the game should be picking up soon. But I really think that Ikuna can score some agendas here soon, because Camputer has shown that he will not run. Camputer is basically saying that he won't run ever for any reason, which is not where you want to be. As the runner, you want to make the corporation scared that you're going to run and access their cards. You don't want to make the corporation, just being able to sit back with this agenda out there for, 10 turns and never accessing it. I do think it's a good play not to run this agenda. I think you should trash this snare and throw a false lead out there. Yeah. Just because right now Ikuna is so scared. Or Camputer is just is not scared. He needed an infiltration last time before he would even consider running this face down card. Now there's another face down card, and he doesn't have an infiltration in hand, so he's not going to run it. Even if he does run it, it's not the worst thing in the world. But if he doesn't run it, it's just terrible, terrible, terrible for him. This is an interesting play, yeah. Ikuna res Chum. I'm not sure how Ikuna has so much money right now. It's just the pop-up windows and stuff that have been giving him so much money. But I mean, 10 credit. He has more credits than the runner. I mean, Jinteki doesn't have that much economy. Camputer's just been repeatedly diving this pop-up window, which hasn't been a terrible play. It would be much better to run HQ than to run R&D at this point, but I still think it's not a terrible play to run HQ. He really should just break this chum and move on. He can break the chum. No! No, 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 no. Okay, this is just strictly worse. If he breaks chum number 1, it costs him 3 credits to break this. And then he doesn't have to break this one. This one does nothing if he breaks this one. If he breaks the first one, this one, the second one does nothing. He can break this one for 3 credits. This one costs him 5 credits to break if he doesn't break this one. So he's just paying 2 credits for no reason. That is a terrible, terrible play on the Camputer's part. And and there's the Nisai counter. That just destroyed Camputer. Or Camputer. I don't know why I say Camputer. I don't call it a computer or Okay, I'm really tongue-tied, but it's Camputer. That's his name, Camputer. He just got destroyed there. He lost 5 credits and an account siphon to Nisai. This is why Nisai is so good. It's really just really good against account siphon. And Camputer is not going to run this agenda because he's scared. And he would probably die if he did. So he's just going to sit back and I would draw a card, but okay, he's not going to draw. He's going to straight up taking that damage. This is an interesting choice. I would probably discard the snare here. Just because Camputer has not really shown interest in running my hand, so at this point I'm just going to discard the snare. The Corporate Troubleshooter can be used with Neural Katana to do 3 net damage, which is pretty huge. So yeah, I think Ikuna has been playing this pretty solidly. He's been making a few, like, I think slight mistakes. But I'm not the best Jinteki player in the world, so I can't really say that for sure that there are mistakes. I don't really play that much Jinteki. I really think that Camputer has been playing this way too passively. And he also has made some math mistakes. Just some mistakes on math. He doesn't need any ice. Ikuna knows he doesn't need any ice because Camputer is not going to run ever. Ice only do anything that the runner is actually going to run. Which I don't know. You have a Katie Jones with 12 credits on it, and you have all 3 breakers. I think you should be running more. Yeah, I'm sorry, Camputer, if I'm seeming a little harsher on you. It's just that I'm much more familiar with Gabe. As I said, I'm much more familiar with Gabe than any other runner. So I can point out the mistakes more clearly. Your deck, the Camputer's deck is actually pretty solid. Any changes are just like playstyle changes. Not actually terrible playstyle changes. He's finally sneaked or beta-ring. He should have done that a long time ago. But yeah, he's doing it now, which is a good play. He could potentially hit this snare, which would be very bad for him, or this fetal AI, which would be okay for him. It would be, yeah, it's sort of rough, but it'd be okay. Yeah, he finally figured out that he has to do that. He hit the Scorched Earth. That is huge. I'm not sure if he saw the Scorched Earth first or before. But now he knows the play around Scorched Earth, which is actually huge. Scorched Earth is a much scarier card if you don't know what to play around it. So you just take a bunch of tags, and you let yourself fall behind below 4 cards because, I mean, it's Jinteki. You're going to end some turns with less than 4 cards, and then they play Scorched Earth and you're dead. So it's a very interesting question. Oh, he's going to Sneak Door again. This is actually not a terrible play. Because he could hit Fetal, or he just hit the Scorched Earth again. He should not Sneak Door Beta again, because if he hits the snare, he dies. He should not run again. If anything, he should run Archives, but I don't think he should. He also thinks there's 2 Scorched Earths instead of 1 twice. There's a little octagon bug where you can kind of tell sometimes if you've seen the same card twice. So if he knew about that sort of little bug thing, he would know that. But you know, normally you don't know whether they have Scorched Earths. This run is actually terrible. This run is very, very bad. Because if he hits a snare off of R&D, he loses the game. There's really no reason to put yourself in that position where if you hit a snare, you're going to lose the game. And he has to break through this shadow. It's a 5 cost. He has to pump up Femme Fatale 3 times, which will cost him 6 credits, and then pay 2 to break it, which costs him 8 credits to break that shadow. Or he could let it run, which I think is actually the better option, but he decided to break it. So that shadow is really going to discourage R&D accesses a lot. Yeah. He didn't hit a snare, so he got... It's not really lucky, but he could have gotten really punished for his decision by hitting a snare and losing the game. Hedge Fund is also really huge for Ikuna. Ikuna just needs to figure out a good opportunity to score that Fetal AI and win the game. Well, scoring this Fetal AI... If he manages to score this Fetal AI, he can score this one and win the game. So really, he's just looking to score this one in his hand. Because Camputer thinks this is an ambush. He thinks this is a June bug. And it's just sitting out there. So he's not running it. Even though he could just run it and steal it, he doesn't know it. This is the power of Jinteki, is you can just leave agendas out there. If they go more than 1 turn, and they're just sitting out here for, 20 turns almost, then the runner just is going to assume that's an ambush. But it's not, it's an agenda. It's the potentially game-winning agenda, and he does not know it. That's sort of the power of playing traps in Jinteki. It's why being as runner, you have to, be careful, and you have to run some things that you think are traps against Jinteki sometimes. Just in case if they turn out not to be traps, then you get really, really screwed, like here. There's a Brain Trust. This Brain Trust is also really, really huge. You can throw this Brain Trust behind this Neural Katana, and then Camputer may not run it. And if Camputer doesn't run it, then he just gets completely destroyed. Oh, instead he's going for the Fetal AI. This is actually also a good plan. I don't know. He's just trying to wear down Camputer. He played the infiltration. Oh! That's very interesting. It always sucks when you play infiltration and see a Fetal AI, because you're like, crap. I mean, if I run it, I take a bunch of net damage, I have to pay 2 credits. But if I don't run it, then they get to score 2 points, and then, it's almost as bad as me, That's even worse than me taking the net damage. So what do I do? He's drawing a card. That is smart to draw a card. He really shouldn't play the account siphon this turn. He should probably run the field AI, yeah. Yeah, that's very smart. He's playing it safe. Neural Katana costs 3 to break. So this play didn't really work out for Ikuna, but I think it was still a solid play. So, yeah, Camputer lost his account siphon, which is huge. He lost his stim hack, which is less huge. He does have the emergency shutdown remaining, which is okay. It's not really amazing because Ikuna has enough money that emergency shutdown isn't going to hurt him. He really should draw a card here to protect against. Yeah, okay, this is a smart move. He drew a card on his last click, and yes, a percent. That's not really gonna help him right now because he has a full everything. So he's gonna play that Beanstalk. I wonder if he's gonna play the Brain Trust. He's not gonna play the Brain Trust yet. It might have been a kind of cheeky move to sneak in the Brain Trust there. He only needs to score one more agenda to win, basically, because this is pretty much a guaranteed score if he manages to score another agenda. If he manages to score another agenda, he can score this and win, because, as I said, Camputer thinks this is a ambush. Or, well, it is technically an ambush, but he thinks it's a Junebug or something like that. Camputer is doing a smart thing and drawing up. After you always want to have as close to a full hand size. This R&D run, or this HQ run is, I think it's an okay HQ run. Actually, it's a pretty good HQ run. Never mind, I lied. This is a good HQ run. Right. Okay, Camputer is getting back in this game. It seems like he's found his confidence and he's decided to, make the most of it. He's ahead 4-3 right now, so that's pretty good. He only has 15 cards in his deck. That's not too dangerous yet. Ikuna only has 17 cards in his deck, and I believe he has an agenda in archives. Yeah, he has a field AI in archives. So if Camputer ever runs archives, he can steal a field AI and be 1 point away from winning the game. So this game is a lot closer than I thought it would be, 6 turns ago. Camputer has finally decided to run a little bit more aggressively and make some good plays. He's for the last couple turns he's had a good balance of aggression and safety. This is a play I kind of like a little bit. I don't really like it when Ikuna has 16 credits. Normally, derezzing a oh, that was a bad play. Okay, I was saying that was a bad play because if Ikuna drew a third Neural Katana, then Camputer was dead. You want to have as many cards in your hand at all times against Jinteki. Which is why I think playing the emergency shutdown was maybe a mistake. Yes, it costs Ikuna 4 credits again to res that, but he has 17 credits, that's not a huge deal. And you don't want to give up a card in your hand against Jinteki, especially when you only have a limited number of cards in your deck. Plascrete will help protect against Scorched Earth. If he plays that, then Ikuna will probably discard the Scorched Earth at some point in the future. Yeah, I like this run on the hand too. I mean, he could have hit the snare, but he didn't know that. and running HQ there was, or sneak door baiting into HQ was, a pretty good move. It was very likely that Ikuna had an agenda there. Ikuna hasn't drawn very many agendas. He's drawn 5 agendas total. He threw one away, which is just over half the agendas in his deck. No, probably under half of the agendas in his deck, and he's drawn over half of his deck. So I think Ikuna should have more agendas in hand than he does. I really don't think this server is going to amount to much. I mean, if you had a corporate troubleshooter, then this server would actually do something. As is, it doesn't actually really do anything because Camputer has enough credits to just get through it. We'll see if he hits the snare. Oh, he's not hit the snare. I bet Ikuna is just slamming his head against the keyboard. Like, why isn't he getting my snare? He's running my hand like, a ton, and he hasn't even pulled my snare. Really? I don't think that Camputer should draw any more cards, except to replace damage. He doesn't really need any more cards. Oh, there's a roto turret. Oh, he scored the fetal AI. I think that was a bit premature, but my guess is he thought he didn't have anything better to do and just wanted to discard a random card. He discarded the E3 implants, which doesn't really do anything at this point. But now he's at match point. Any other card he plays could potentially be a brain trust. So really, Camputer is forced to run every single face down card that Ikuna plays, which is a pretty huge advantage when you have a snare in your hand. Because he could get Camputer to run through this server, hit the snare, and then, he could play his neural EMPs. So I think that Camputer should just be running right now. Yeah, this Katie Jones is okay. But he should really just be running HQ and R&D. He wants to hit. There's an Asai. This is an interesting play. I think he should play the snare in his server. Possibly install a roto turret above, in front of it. I'm not sure if he has enough credits to do that. That's 8, 11, 14. He doesn't have enough credits to do that. So you should just install the snare and maybe click for credits. He wants to force Camputer to run his server. Installing a snare there will force him to run the server. Now Camputer is running R&D. Camputer's at the point where he has enough credits that he can break through all the ice. Every single ice that Ikuna plays. Ikuna knows he's not going to win the game through ice. He's got to be able to either bluff Camputer or net damage him enough to win. He does have a false lead going, which can help him with that plan. Which is why I really think he should install the snare. It's actually very dangerous for a Camputer to run right now. Because if he hits the snare, he just loses. If he hits the snare, he'll have 2 clicks left. Okay, good. He activated Katie Jones, which is a smart play. Now he can run. When you have 2 clicks, the corporation can sacrifice false lead to make you lose 2 clicks. and then your turn is over. If you get hit by a snare, you still have the tag, and then they can scorch earth you. If you have 3-click, if you only have 1 click left, falsely is this weird thing where you can't sacrifice it if the runner only has 1 click. You can't forfeit it, and I messed up the screen again. But you can't forfeit it if the runner only has 1 click. So let's see if he hits in the side or he's hit the scorched earth again. He must think that Ikuna has 1 billion scorched earths. It's really not safe for him to run. Yeah, gaining a credit seems like the best play there. There's another pop-up window. That doesn't really do much. I think you should install the pop-up window, install the snare in the server, to try to get to force Camputer to run. Camputer is out of infiltrations. I believe he has played 3 infiltrations already. Let's see here. There's 1, 2. He's only played 2 infiltrations, so Camputer could still possibly have an infiltration. Maybe that's why Ikuna doesn't want to play his snare. He's just hoping against hope that Camputer will run against the snare, and then he can scorch earth him out. But right now it's getting to the point where Camputer can just run against anything that Ikuna plays, and Ikuna can't really do anything about it. Ikuna's not going to win this game through defense. He's going to win the game by tricking Camputer into doing something that Camputer either doing something that will flatline Camputer or doing something that will let Ikuna sneak through some agenda points. So, yeah, right now I think Ikuna is losing the game. That was not a bad play. I really think it should have been the snare, though. Right now, Camputer has to run this. Because if it's a brain trust, he just loses. And if it's a false lead, he pretty much loses too. No, that's not true. Never mind. I lied. If it's a brain trust, he loses the game if he doesn't run here. It's much safer to run there because he can deal with the effects of anything. He can break any ice. Like, literally any ice in the game he can break. Okay, there's data mine and whirlpool that he can't break, but every single other ice in the game he can break. And he can, even if he hits a snare, or that he's alive. It would be really bad if he hit an edge of world here, which is the only thing he really has to worry about. He has to worry about whether this face card is an edge of world. He decided that it probably isn't. Which is probably a safe assumption to make. Edge of World is scary just because it does brain damage and it makes a snare lethal. Or another Fetal AI is basically lethal. So Camputer has a full rig, tons and tons of credits. There's nothing Ikuna could do at this point. If he still had the corporate troubleshooter, he could have done something. Which is why I think he should have kept the corporate troubleshooter instead of trashing it so many turns ago. Corporate troubleshooter is one of the only ways you can leverage money effectively against the runner. all that little move really did was force Ikuna to spend some credits, or force Camputer and Ikuna to spend some credits, which really didn't matter very much because look, after that run, Camputer still has 26 credits and 9 on Katie Jones. I really don't think that um yeah, I really don't think that Melange accomplished anything. I think it's just a matter of time before Camputer wins, honestly. I don't know why he's running on his last click. Running on your last click is a good way to throw the game. He's trying to throw the game so hard. If he hits a snare, he loses. He luckily didn't hit a snare. But yeah, that's one of the things you have to think about. If you're winning the game this hard, you have to think about what can I do? How can I lose this game? And one of the ways you could do that is hit a snare as on your last click. When you know they have Scorched Earth in hand. This is a tricky move by Camputer. He installed what? He installed the snare here. He installed the Nisai here, and he installed the Hosaka grid here. This is a very tricky move. Obviously, this Hosaka grid does nothing because if the runner runs here, unless he has 0 cards in hand, which he won't, he'll win off Nisai. If Camputer runs here, he basically dies. If he runs on his first click. Here, he basically dies because Ikuna can sacrifice false lead so that Camputer only has 1 click left. And Camputer will only have 1 card in hand and a tag. So you can either draw or remove a tag, but you can't do both. And then Scorched, so then Ikuna can play Scorched Earth or 2 Neural EMPs. You can play Scorched Earth if he doesn't remove the tag, and you can play 2 Neural EMPs if he does. Instead, Camputer is saying, I don't care, I'm just going to run R&D. Again, I would draw up before I did this, because if you hit a snare, you're dead. Yeah, this is another thing. You have to you always have to think about how am I going to lose this game. When you have this big of an advantage, you have to think about how am I going to lose the game, and then try not to do that. Okay. He didn't run anything. If he also, if Camputer runs Archives, he wins, but he doesn't know that because there's a field AI in Archives. Also, there's another pop-up window here. So now he has to pick the correct server to access. If he doesn't access any servers, then Ikuna still can't win. Not running there was a very smart choice. He has to run this click. He has to choose one of these servers to run and run it. If he chooses correctly, he wins the game. If he chooses incorrectly, he loses. If he doesn't choose, I mean, this could be a brain trust, but it isn't, so he's not going to lose the game. He might actually win the game. Not choosing might actually be a smarter choice. I really think that instead of this Hosaka grid, Ikuna should have advanced this, but maybe he didn't want to. Drawing a card there was a mistake. He probably should have drawn a card instead of Katie Jonesing. But drawing a card there was a mistake. He's going into deep thought mode. This is one of the tricky things about playing against Jinteki. You have to understand what they are thinking. He's going to sneak door beta into archives. He's just delaying the issue. He's hoping that there's no brain trust on the table. I mean, it's not very likely. Well, it's not terribly likely that there's a brain trust. I mean, there could be, but there could also not be. He sees the scorched earth again. Excuse me. So let's see what Ikuna drew. He drew Beanstalk Royalties, which is basically useless at this point. So now he's got to decide whether he wants to advance this Nisai or not. I would advance it 3 times maybe. Just to try to bluff Camputer into thinking it's a Junebug. Yeah, this is the correct move. It should be advanced 3 times. It should have 3 advancements on it. Oh. Well. Okay. Yeah, I think advancing this 3 times is a better move. I hope I didn't influence the match there. Okay. Yeah, Ikuna wins. Or Camputer wins. That was a very good game. This is sort of the weakness of Jinteki is that their eyes are much weaker and they don't really have tricks to score agendas. They have to, bluff them out. I'm kind of worried that me saying something might have encouraged Camputer to run that. But I really think that it was a better choice to triple advance in this side instead of advancing Shadow. But I guess you just wanted the... yes. So that was a very good match. That was a very, very good match. Camputer made some mistakes early game. I think he recovered from them late game. He recovered from them very well late game. They didn't really hurt them as much as they could have. I think Ikuna played a very solid game. There were a couple of decisions that were made differently, but those were very minor. He just got outplayed. I think Jinteki is the worst corporation, generally considered among the top runners. I believe, yeah, against the top players, Jinteki is the weakest corporation considered. And Criminal is considered to be the strongest runner faction right now. So, I mean, it just shows you how much more powerful Criminal can be than Jinteki, though. I don't really think. I think this was a very, very strong Jinteki game. Snares were very, 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 very powerful. I think that near the end, I'm not sure if Camputer was doing this intentionally, but he was doing a very, very good job around playing around false lead. This is a very, very tricky card to play around. They cannot activate it if you have less than 2 clicks. So you should only run on your first and third click if you're afraid of hitting a snare or something. Camputer was doing it. He was doing a very good job of playing around false lead late game. So, right, that's one piece of, that's one thing Camputer did really, really well. I know I ragged on him a lot at the game by not running very much, but this was a very good play. That's it. This video is already long enough as is, so I'll see you next time.